The parking lot outside Willow Creek Public Library was quiet that morning until it wasn't. Arthur Jenkins, 69, bent down to tie his bootlace just steps away from his truck. A worn canvas bag hung from his shoulder, a utility knife clipped to his belt. Just another quiet morning, just another maintenance job. That was when the cruiser swerved in. Fast hands where I can see them. Arthur froze. Officer Kyle Baker, young and loud, had already drawn his weapon. His partner, Officer Miller, took a slower step out, hand on holster. "What's this about?" Arthur asked, calm but tired. "Got a call about a suspicious man matching your description," Baker said, lurking behind the library dumpsters. "You carrying anything?" "My ID and a registered sidearm," Arthur said, "in my coat pocket." Baker tensed. "Turn around slowly." Arthur complied, moving with the steady discipline of a man who had lived through worse. He didn't resist as they cuffed him, didn't flinch when Baker pulled his pistol roughly from his pocket like it was a grenade. "Got him," Baker muttered. "Guy's got a weapon. Weird behavior. No visible badge. Sounds about right." A few bystanders watched from across the street. One pulled out their phone. Arthur said nothing, but inside, something shifted. Back at the Willow Creek Police Department, Arthur sat in a holding cell under buzzing lights. His hoodie was damp. His hands were red from the tight cuffs. Miller filled in paperwork. Baker cracked jokes with dispatch. "Guy said he works nights at the library, but he's carrying a sidearm and a knife like it's Fallujah out there." "No priors," Miller said, squinting at the database, "but there's a hold on his file. Wait." He leaned in. A blinking red alert flashed across the terminal. "Active asset. Do not process. Priority intercept." "What the hell?" Miller muttered. The alert duplicated, then again. Then a new line appeared. "Federal override in progress. Stand by for contact." Before they could make sense of it, the phone rang. Officer Sarah Jones answered. She listened, then turned pale. "They said to stop everything. Do not speak to him. Agents are en route, ETA 7 minutes. "What?" Baker frowned. "Who even is this guy?" Jones looked toward the holding cell. Arthur was just sitting, calm, silent, like he was waiting. Baker laughed nervously. "Man's probably bluffing." Miller wasn't so sure. Arthur looked like someone who wasn't afraid of waiting rooms, someone who'd survived them before. 7 minutes later, they arrived, 3 unmarked black SUVs. The doors didn't slam. They clicked open, efficient and quiet. 4 agents entered the building without a word, suits, earpieces, a calm energy that didn't ask for attention. It took it. Leading them was Agent Hayes, early 50s, silver tie, eyes that looked like they missed nothing. "Who arrested Arthur Jenkins?" he asked flatly. Baker stepped forward, all confidence drained. "We did, Officers Baker and Miller. Suspicious activity report." He matched the call, and he had a firearm. "You ran his ID?" "Yes, sir." "That was your mistake." Hayes moved past them. Lewis, a second agent, was already pulling footage from the station's mainframe. Inside the holding cell, Arthur finally looked up. Hayes opened the door himself. "Asset A, Jenkins," he said, voice lowered. "I'm Agent Hayes. We're pulling you out." "About time," Arthur said. His voice was calm but firm. "I was starting to think your priorities had changed." Hayes gave a tight nod. "They haven't, but you've been off-grid for over a decade." The ping wasn't supposed to trigger until someone leaked the 1989 list. Arthur raised an eyebrow. "So it's happening." "It's moving fast." Arthur stood slowly, his knees cracked. His eyes didn't blink. "They didn't know who I was," he said, looking toward the one-way glass, "but they sure knew who they thought I was." In the squad room, Agent Lewis placed a classified summary on Jones's desk. It was brief, but the words were heavy. Operative Jenkins was embedded in Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, and North Africa under federal directive. Black level clearance. Direct field coordination, 1985 to 2003. Reinstated under dormant program protocol in 2016 following exposure risk. Jones read it twice. He's still active, until your officers nearly blew his cover. Baker muttered, "Why would a guy like that be pushing a mop in a library?" Hayes turned to him. "Because he was hiding in plain sight. That's what cover means. And now that his name's resurfaced, he's on a kill list." Baker swallowed. "We didn't know." "No," Hayes said coldly, "you didn't ask." Inside the evidence locker, Arthur retrieved his pistol, sealed clean, registered since 1973. "Why do you still carry that thing?" Jones asked quietly. Arthur's gaze didn't waver. "Because there are people out there who don't forget, and I'm not talking about allies." Jones hesitated. "Was it true? The child in Thailand?" "The hostage mission." Arthur exhaled. 4 operatives went in. I was the 5th. We got the boy out, wrapped him in rice sacks to hide the blood. I carried him 12 miles through jungle. I still remember his eyes. "You save him, I gave him a chance," Arthur said. "That's all anyone gets." He turned back to Hayes. "Where to now?" "We've secured an off-grid safe house," Hayes replied, "but this won't stay quiet." The leak wasn't random. Arthur looked over his shoulder toward the station, the walls, the faces that had doubted him. "Then they'll come again." Hayes didn't deny it. 2 weeks later, the Willow Creek station was changed. Baker was under internal investigation. Miller had been reassigned. Both were flagged for procedural misjudgment and failure to de-escalate. Jones, she'd been offered a temporary position as federal liaison. Someone had noticed her restraint, her questions, her silence when it mattered. She never heard from Arthur again, not directly. But one morning, she received a letter, no stamp, no return address. Inside, a single sentence. "Jones, some people think the war ends when the guns stop firing, but it doesn't. It just gets quieter. You listened. You didn't need a file to know something was wrong. You trusted instinct. That's rare. Stay rare. AJ." Jones pinned the note to the inside of her locker. No speech, no ceremony, but she walked differently now, not lighter, just more aware. At a small recovery center tucked into the Appalachian woods, a group of veterans sat in folding chairs. One younger vet spoke quickly, "I can't sleep. I keep replaying the convoy, the ambush, like I'm back there every night." Arthur Jenkins, now wearing civilian clothes, nodded slowly. "You never forget," he said. "You just learn how to carry it without letting it carry you." Another vet asked, "How long did it take you?" Arthur looked out the window. "I'll let you know when it does." As they filed out, a young volunteer approached him. She handed him a sealed file, no name, just said it was for him. Arthur opened it alone. Inside, a photo, old and grainy, a 6-year-old boy, now a man, standing in front of a UN peacekeeping center. On the back, just one sentence, "You gave me a chance. I used it." Arthur leaned back in his chair, no smile, just a quiet breath. And for the first time in a long time, he let himself close his eyes. He didn't need to fight back. He just stood there and let the truth speak for him, because some men carry secrets, and some are the secret.